Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the first episode of This Way Up, where I find exceptional people with exceptional stories who most may not consider to be, I don't know, just average. Most might consider to be average everyday Joes and everyday people. You're not a Joe, but average everyday people. And what we're trying to do here is I'm trying to show that everybody has a story, and there are people in this world just who walk among us who have had to overcome some pretty serious obstacles, but still manage to make a difference in their own lives and in the lives of other people. And for me personally, it only made sense that for something like this type of project, and getting something started like this, that the very first episode would have to be my wife, Vanessa. My name is Miguel, by the way. I didn't introduce myself, but my name is Miguel, and this is my wife, Vanessa, and she's going to be my first interviewee for this YouTube broadcast. And really the main reason why I wanted to make you the first person is because I think that you have overcome some pretty serious obstacles, and you've gone through some pretty rough. You've had some pretty rough experiences, but still, yet you managed to make such a big difference, in our family's lives and the lives of other people, which I'm going to share with whoever might be listening to this YouTube channel. But first of all, what I want to tell the people is that you keep staring at me. First of all, what I want to tell the people is just some stuff that I consider to be pretty awesome that you do every day. First of all, Vanessa we were a military family. We're recently retired from the military, and Vanessa was a military wife for the entire time, right? We were married for the entire time, which is a bit of an oddity for people in the military. Yes. It's not very common, no. Especially now. But there was something that I experienced that made me, and I'm not real proud to admit it, but after I had retired, right? So it's already 20 years after 20 years of active duty service. I'm sitting in the commissary. I'm doing grocery shopping. I think I already told you this before, right?
Yes.
I was doing grocery shopping in the commissary.
Yes.
And there was this young lady, this young girl. She couldn't be much older than 21 or 22, but she was early 20s, right? Mm-hmm. She's got a little one in the cart, right? She's trying to pull one by the, pull one by the arm and get her groceries. She's got a basket full of groceries, and she's trying to get all her grocery shopping done, and she's doing it by herself. And it made me realize that, at least in that one aspect, especially where, simple things like grocery shopping are not so simple for military wives, because the husbands are committed to they're having to work long hours and deploy and not even be around the family. So I guess what I want to ask you is, because we had 4 kids.
Yes.
We had 4 kids.
Yes.
And you had to do stuff like that. And what I want to know is, one, was it really hard? Was it very hard? And 2, how did you manage all that stuff? How did you make it work?
It was hard, because especially when you have one, and then the one that is walking, like, you have to let him or her walk, because you got your groceries and you can't put them in the back of the cart for them to sit down. So you're telling them, come on, and if they're not cooperating, you're like, let's go, we gotta go, we can go. So it is kind of hard depending on what day it is, or what kind of mood your little toddler's at, or whatever age you have your one that's not sitting in the front of the cart. It is hard, but you just, I guess you manage because it's something that happens. You just never know when it's gonna happen. So it's just like, okay.
Like what happens?
When your little one is the one that's out of the cart, when they're not cooperating with you. So you don't ever know when they're gonna just have a tantrum, a tantrum, or is upset about something. They wanted something in the store and you're like, no, you can't have candy right now. You know, it's too early.
Right.
So, you never know what the situation could be. So it's just like, so you gotta like try to get them to the car. But most of the times they're, with my kids, I don't know with everybody else, most of the time when I had one in the cart and then one walking, they usually, it was pretty good.
They did okay.
They did okay.
We had good kids to start. Well, I always say that our first two ruined us for the second two because there's an 8-year gap between kid number 2 and kid number 3.
Yes.
And kids 1 and 2 were awesome.
Yeah, so it's
kids 3 and 4 are a handful.
They're a little bit but the first two were like,
Right.
And she was awesome.
But how did you, okay, so from my perspective, right? Yeah. If that were me, I would be freaking out. I'd probably be yelling at everybody.
Yeah, and I was thinking, and that's what it is that I get, from my point, it's just like I'm a little bit calmer, and then I could.
You just go to your Zen place or something?
Yeah, and it's just like, come on. And then it's not, I guess, because I don't yell back or, get onto them because it's like, no, because it's just going to make it worse.
Well,
worse.
Which is true. Yeah, which is true.
It's true, because you're upset, then the little one's upset, and then if the little one, the one that's sitting in the car, if that one's not upset, well then it's going to be upset because they see you upset. Makes things worse, So it's just easier to just stay calm and say, okay, let's get this.
How do you do that though? How do you stay so calm? Does it just come naturally to you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's not going to help the people out there who might be watching this. Do you just go to your happy place, or you just like?
I think it's just in me to like. Okay, it could be much worse. It could. It could be like.
Here's my question. Here's something that just popped into my head.
What?
Okay, so for those who are watching and don't necessarily know our story, we were very young kids joining the military. Well, we were very young kids having kids.
Yes.
And then we were very young kids joining the military. And when I joined, right? When I enlisted, the sequence of events happened like this. I walked into the room one day and I said, I joined the Air Force. And that was it. There was no setup. There was really no conversation before that we were going to be a military family or anything like that. Yeah,
because I remember you mentioning it, and then you said, "Oh, I went to talk to a recruiter," and I was like, "Okay," but there was like nothing after that. Like, well, I'm gonna go talk to him again or see what else. No, it's just like you came and said, "Okay, I joined it," and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this. All right.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Okay.
So, but that's and I guess in a way I kind of have to apologize because that's kind of been our relationship. You know what I mean? It's like I do things and you just kind of make it work.
Yes.
And I tell you what, this lady is a saint in that respect because, okay, so another story I need to share is that one time I got stationed in a remote assignment in South Korea, and those kind of assignments you can't take family with you, right? So when I left for that assignment, I had to leave Vanessa behind with the kids, as was the case with a lot of situations. But in this case, you had to move. You had a whole house full of stuff that you had to move, and there was some help that we got from the unit. We got a little help from the unit, so big props to those guys. That was
they came and helped.
That's when we were in Kirtland. They moved a lot of the heavy stuff.
Yes, they did. They helped me move.
But you were still left with a lot to do by yourself.
Yes. And moving the smaller stuff in the boxes I had to do and put it in storage.
Then you had to clean the house.
And then, I got to
because it had to be an inspection order because it was a base house.
Yes.
Right? And you did all of that by yourself.
Yes.
With some help from the older kids, because Mayo and them were a little older.
They helped. They helped me with cleaning up certain things, but with a heavier scrubbing, and it was me. And until like the last maybe 3-4 days or something, when my parents, mom and dad came out, and because they were going to help me drive the vehicles.
Right. Yeah.
Back.
We had 2 cars that had to be driven home.
So they were going to help
back
me
to
with
Texas.
Yeah. So they were going to help me with that.
Right.
So they flew in, and then those last few days they helped patch up the little hose on where the door when you open the door and it leaves the little hose. They helped me do that. But most of it was already done. It's just, and then I had like the mattresses in the living room and dining area because we had no furniture, and that's where we would sleep because all the other rooms were closed off.
There was a whole heap of work that needed to get done.
Yeah, all the
Vanessa
rooms.
managed all that stuff and got it done and got the house in inspection order and put all the finishing touches on moving. And typically the way it usually works, at least the way the Air Force likes for it to work, is the family is either going to stay at that assignment while the military member is gone, and then he or she comes back, and then everybody moves together as a family to the next assignment. Or the family while the military member is gone, the family is allowed to move to the next assignment, whatever the follow-on assignment is, and that's usually, and then they do that. But Vanessa did not do that. We didn't want to do that with Vanessa because that was actually the second time we had to do that. We did that. We made that move. Vanessa's moved back home to Texas. We're originally from Texas, and she moved back home to Texas. All that stuff she did by herself. So she's done it twice. And it's just another reason for me to give you props to say, you're a beast, man. You're a beast. You're a beast. People, you and people like you, military wives who do that sort of stuff. I've deployed, I don't know, a lot of times I've been TDYing away from home.
Yeah.
And you've had to be, like with Mauricio, for example, you were pregnant and getting the kids to school and stuff like that all the way up until the day that you had Mauricio.
Yeah, because
our youngest.
I even remember waking up because I was like, okay, they got a dentist appointment today, but I was already like not feeling good, and I was like, nope, we're gonna do it. We're gonna take them to their dentist appointment because it's their dentist appointment. And then it was like, nope, we're not taking to the dentist appointment. We're going to go to the hospital. So it's.
But you make it work.
Yeah, you make it work. And I would
because
say this lifestyle is not. It takes a lot. I mean, you have to be strong-willed, and you have to know. You have to be dependent on yourself, and you got to know when your spouse is away that things have to get done.
There's no question.
There's no question. Right. You can't say, well, I'll just wait until he or she comes back, or they come back, and we'll take care of this.
Right.
No, if something needs to be done, then it's like, okay, it needs to be done. So if the kids need to go to school, you gotta, if you're the only one there, well, then you're gonna have to, get them to school. If they need help with their homework, doctor's appointments, dentist, all what involves with your kids, school, out of school, whatever it is, it's like you have to do it because there's no backup.
There's another thing that I want to talk about, and I want to share with whoever might be watching this video is, so another area that I think that you need to be recognized for a job well done and just being amazing at is, of our 4 kids, we have 3 of them who have autism, 3 boys who have autism.
Yes.
And Vanessa has been complimented at all the different school districts that we've been to for her organizational skills, because she's kept like every report, every diagnosis, every visit, everything that's involved that's related to their diagnosis is organized in binders and all that stuff. And for the IEP meetings are meetings that you have to attend for kids with special needs. It's an individualized education plan, and they're basically a game plan on how to educate your a child with special needs and how they're going to modify an educational plan for them. And Vanessa has all the IEPs. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Vanessa has all the IEPs and all that stuff. She brings all that stuff to every meeting, and she's been complimented and praised at every school district that we've been to. And they, teachers have shared and educators have shared that not everybody does this, but Vanessa has always gone that extra mile to make sure that our kids' special needs are taken care of. So, I'm not sure how we could explain how that makes that different, because you don't know a different way. That's been our life. That's always been our life to explore, to have to, for that to be a part of our life, our kids' needs and their autism and their disabilities and whatnot. But I guess, would you say that it's kind of along the same lines as being like the military wife and the stuff that you have to do, where you just have to do it?
Yes. To me, it's I learned from, I guess, when the older two were little, and then they, you get their shots and they get, medicines or whatever. I learned that you have to keep their records, even though it's on the computer and they print you out your thing. It was easier to have your own copy and keep it, because
Some of that was probably a military lesson too, because those guys are bad at keeping records for some reason.
So it was. I think that's where I learned, because I remember one time I went and then they were like, I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of the older two, and they were like, well, they're gonna need this shot, and I'm like, what shot? And I was like, wait a minute, like what? So then I always carried it, so I brought it out, and I was like, no, and then I showed it, and they're like, oh, okay. So then so I guess I learned from that to know that whatever. And then when we found out, when Marcos had, wasn't talking and stuff, and they started doing the tests at 2 years old, started doing the different tests and stuff. And then, when he started preschool and they started more tests and stuff to figure out why he wasn't talking, certain things that he was behind on. And I just realized, like, well, I'm going to have to keep this, because at the time we were in Texas, because you were in Korea
the first time.
Korea the first time. So I was like, well, we're not going to be here.
Right.
So if I said the next, wherever we're going to go to, they're going to need a copy of this. And I wasn't going to depend on the school to get it to them. So I just started, that's when I just like, okay, I made sure I got the copy and I put it, and that's when I started putting in a binder. And I guess that's where I learned, like, throughout all our kids' schools, is like, I had to keep it.
Okay, so let's just do this real quick, because you pretty much explained the reason why you did all that stuff. But if you could share with anybody who might be watching this video, what I just mentioned was, that's not the norm for parents to keep records that way for their kids who have special needs. One, two, we were in a circumstance that required you to do that, so that you learned that. But if there was anything that you would share, that you could share with people who have kids with special needs, what was it? As well, at least, I mean, you could start with records keeping, but what's something that you would share that might, I don't know if they would help, but what's something that you could share with people who have kids with special needs? What have you always wanted to share with people with kids with special needs? What's something?
Something is, you can't let the school be the only ones. You can't always depend on the schools to do what's right for your child or your children, for especially special needs. Oh, well, no, I say in general. Right, yeah. So in special needs, it's very important. Like, yes, you want the right teacher, you want the right class, you want your child to succeed in the classroom, learning and all that stuff. But I would say this is that you have to also be involved with that school. So if the school is going to try, like for Mauricio, because he's nonverbal.
He's our youngest.
he's our youngest. Picture schedules and picture, which is called picture exchange communication system, and they have pictures, and then and if he wants something, like he goes gets it and hands it to somebody, the teachers or the aides. So it's like that has to also be happening at home, like, and you have to communicate with the teachers, with the aides, to make sure that what they're doing at school is also happening at home. So that way it's like, it's a team. You know, it's...
So you can make sure that there's continuity.
Yes.
There's continuity between what's happening at school and what's happening at home.
Right.
Yeah.
You know that saying, it takes a village?
Yeah.
Well, that's what it is.
Okay, yeah.
And not, there...
As I grunt my way through this.
Yeah. It takes a village to, help rear these, young kids and stuff. So that's what it is. It's like you're taking your child to school. They're spending, from 8 to 3, whatever time, 7-8 hours at school. Well, you're gonna want to make sure that the teachers, the aide, the whole school is doing right by your children.
I think something that you haven't quite touched on yet, and we'll keep talking.
Yeah.
But something that I kind of want to touch on that you've kind of been, you've expressed openly, is that for kids with special needs, parents should expect for teachers to teach, and for schools to be a place where kids get educated. And although with special needs, that might be something as simple as tying your shoes or going to the bathroom. These are they're trivial.
Stuff.
They're trivial, right? Independence, establishing independence.
Yeah.
They're trivial things, and they're not the most. They're not fun. It's tough. It's tough. That's why these kids it's tough working with these children. But what you've always made a point to ensure is that the school, where our kids are going to, is not a daycare. It's a school.
Yes, I've always made sure that especially all 3 of our boys, when they went to school, it was like they were going to learn something. And some of it, it was life skill stuff, how to dress, how to, be independent in the bathroom.
Because they're not going to be mathematicians. They're not going to be able to solve math problems and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're not. And you got to be reasonable. You will know, yes, there are some kids and adults with autism that are high level, and they're doctors and they're lawyers, and they do very, very, very beautiful stuff and are independent and do that. But there's also those that are not. They're not going to be that way.
Right.
So those are the ones that you want to make sure that they're going to be able to take their own showers, use the bathroom by themselves, brush their teeth, hygiene.
Right.
So and then also learn little stuff.
Right.
Of their level.
But at the same time, I think it's also, it needs to be mentioned that it's not solely the school's responsibility.
No.
It's like you said, it takes a village.
Right.
Both sides, the school and the parents and the home, should be
working together.
Should be working together to make sure that these things take place. But parents shouldn't be slacking off. But definitely the school should not be slacking off.
Right.
It's not a daycare center.
No, it's not a daycare center. And if it's like that kind of where it's just like the kids always playing and like. Yeah, you learn from play, but if you're not showing them certain skills, how to like
matching or tracing a letter or something like that.
Like Mauricio being the youngest, he's at a low level, but he knows how to match. He knows he doesn't talk, of course, but he knows how to match his colors. He knows how to match the ABCs. He knows how to spell. It's like. Will match the letter, spell, type.
Right.
So, but of course you have to keep on working with
But
that.
they should be doing things that are requiring some thought.
Right.
Have their brain engaged in something. Right.
Because I will tell you if
But watching videos and
if they're watching videos on the YouTube or on their iPad or on the smart board or whatever,
that's okay.
That's okay. Yes,
but only
it is.
to an extent.
Yes, only to an extent.
So I think maybe it's a good way of saying it is that kids should be engaged, not pacified.
Right. And I was going to say,
that's easy to pacify.
because I'm going to say from our children, I guess I should say from our children, if they would just sit there and do nothing, they will let somebody know.
Yeah, yeah.
They will let someone know, especially Mauricio not talking, the youngest one. He'll be upset, and it's because it's boring.
Yeah,
they get bored as well as anybody else. It's like, I'm just sitting here and doing nothing. It's boring.
Yeah.
So it's like just keeping them engaged. And
so I think okay. So what I would like to mention next is that we realize, and I keep moving this camera, so I'm sorry but I'm trying to make sure that you're in the
shot.
Yeah, in the shot mostly. That you're mostly in the shot, because this is about you and your story and what you have to share. So Vanessa has she's benefited from the military lifestyle, has benefited Vanessa in the sense that she's been able to be very engaged, and it's understandable that parents have to work and they have to make a living, and especially in this day and age, it takes both parents to make a living, to support their families. So for those who might be watching, don't get mad at us because we're sharing all this stuff that people should be that we think that people should be involved in their kids, and then you're not able to do that stuff because you're raising your family and you have to earn a living. We understand that, and there are a lot of people who do.
I give props for moms at work and dads at work and then still have to raise their family.
That's hard. Yeah. But I think what we're just trying to share is that wherever you can be involved, your kids can't afford for you to take any days off, and I think that's probably the biggest message is for our kids and for our families. You don't have the luxury of taking any days off for their sake.
Right.
We don't have a big social life, and that doesn't mean that we can't, but that's more of a choice. That's more of a choice that we make.
Right. It is.
But keeping with that being involved angle, I just want to share with people that Vanessa spends a lot of time with teachers, and she makes it a point that when she is in the classroom with teachers, right? Vanessa's not getting paid. That's where she spends her time because she enjoys spending her time with not only our kid who's in the special needs program, but with all the kids. And Vanessa says very often, what is it you say often, that it's not, that Mauricio's not just your kid?
They're all my kids.
Yeah.
Because I say that if a child or children are getting mistreated, that could easily be my child. So I make it a point to make sure that everybody is getting what they need.
Advocating for everybody.
Yeah.
Advocating for everybody. Yeah.
If I see something that I'm not
we have yet to get any bad reports that Vanessa's gotten a little too involved, but most of the feedback that Vanessa gets is that they're appreciative of how much Vanessa contributes to the program. So you had to be a military wife. Yes. You had to be the mom of special needs kids. Simultaneously had to do that.
Yes.
You're really involved with the special needs community, not only with our kids, but with our with all the kids that are in those programs. Right. But something that I want to make a point that people know is that in this show is that everyone, no one is exempt from pain and suffering. Right. And you've had your fair share of stuff that you've had to experience, and I don't I don't want this like to get emotional, even though I know it's difficult to talk about.
Yes.
But Vanessa has had her share of loss. And the reason that I bring it up is because, you know, well, if you don't mind, I'm gonna share
Okay.
some of this stuff.
Okay.
So Vanessa is very tight with her family, and she lost her brother in '99,
Yes.
right, to HIV and AIDS. She lost her grandmother, who she was very close with. Well, she lost both grandmothers within a short period of time that she was very close with but she lost both of them suddenly within a close period of time, and more recently, but also in that kind of roughly in a short period of time, around that same time, Vanessa lost her mom in a car accident suddenly, and that was hard for all of us to deal with, and it's something that Vanessa still deals with. And the reason I bring it up is it's not an attempt to play like a boohoo moment,
Right.
or for people to feel sorry for you, even though people should feel sorry for you. That's not easy stuff to deal with, especially the loss of your mom. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
But even though those things happened, you still managed to push through those difficult times and still be here on the other side, doing what you do for your family and for other people's families. I guess what I want to know is, how do you? I don't know. I know that it's difficult to put into words, but the main thing is that you've endured a lot, you've experienced a lot, but you're still on this side doing such great things. You have not allowed that, at least externally, from what people can see. You have not allowed that to affect you or stop you or slow you down. Would you say that's pretty fair to say? It did slow you down. So you know what? You just, if you don't mind, in your own words, as best that you can, how did you deal with that, and how is it that you've managed to kind of not necessarily bounce back with that, but deal with that and still manage to do so, still do good?
I guess it would be, I have a lot of faith in God, for one, and I have to know that even though it's hard to be, especially mom, because mom was, she just turned 63, and it was hard, and not getting the answers of how she passed. I gotta continue to do the stuff that I did before, because it kind of helps me knowing that I'm taking care of my family, helping the kids, helping our kids, and helping others. It's
like therapeutic.
Yeah, it's
like it makes
it helps me. Like I know that I'm taking care of my family, I'm taking care of my own kids, and then I'm helping others. It feels good to help others. It's just something that, I don't know, I just feel, the way I describe it or the way I feel about it is just like love, even though I don't have to get appreciated for certain things, like a lot of stuff, like Mauricio's classrooms, like if a kid needs something, like one kid doesn't eat doesn't eat the breakfast from school, and if I notice that, and if I go buy a box or a bag of cereal, it's just like, okay, I know that that kid is gonna eat at least breakfast, and it just feels good, and it doesn't mean like, oh, I want his parents to know that I'm buying cereal so that way he could eat. No, I don't want that. I want to make sure that these kids have or get what they need. So it just feels, I don't know, it just feels nice.
The therapy, I think that's the wrong word. So like for me, no, I don't want to necessarily say it that way. Okay, so you still miss your brother.
Dearly, yes.
You still miss your mom. You miss your grandmothers. And they're with you in your thoughts all the time. But it doesn't, like, I'm sure like there's moments when it makes you sad.
Oh yeah.
Right? But how, like, what is it that you tell yourself, or what kind of thoughts enter your mind that help you kind of not necessarily get over the sadness, but just kind of help you through those moments?
Besides crying?
Yeah. Okay, so crying.
Crying is one.
Crying is okay.
Yeah, crying is okay. So, I mean, I still, it's going to be, in May, it'll be 20 years for my brother. And I still miss him, like, dearly, like I said. And when those days come, yeah, I cry. And then I just, like, start talking, like if he was here. Like, if he was listening to me. And
which for those of us with faith, we believe that
that he's with me still. And then I start talking to God and telling God, I know he's with you and he's in a better place, and even though I miss him, and but I guess that's what helps me, is like just me cry and I just
you let it happen.
Yeah, I just cry when I'm sad.
You don't bottle it up.
No.
All right.
So if I'm driving and I a song comes on, or just like a memory and stuff, I'll cry, and then I just start talking to him, and then I start talking to God, and then after a while I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit, and then
I think that's saying a lot. You let those feelings happen,
right,
and then you kind of and you just kind of work through it. You talk through it,
right, and then that's the way with Mom too. I just I tell her I miss her and I wish she was here, and especially with because our daughter's getting married, in 2 months. Oh my gosh. And it's like, oh man, if she was here, Mom, you would, like I would be like calling her right now and say, Mom, can you look for this? Because we can't find it here. Like, and I know she would have done it. Yeah. So I just start talking, like, and then I just try to hear her voice tell me it's okay. You're going to get this done. You're going to find it somewhere. You're going to find something else close to it. And, I think that helps me. Helps me,
So, like, one more thing I wanted to share, and I know we're already coming up on 40 minutes, but there's one more thing that I wanted to share that you've had to overcome.
Yes.
That we haven't quite gotten, like, the all clear on, but everything is looking good.
Yes.
Is that in, was it 2016? 2015.
Yeah, 2015.
2015, Vanessa was diagnosed with thyroid cancer and was treated for it. She's got her thyroid removed. It was removed. She went through the radioactive iodine treatment.
Yes.
And since her thyroid was removed, she went through the procedure and the treatment started back in 2015. She's still under observation, but all signs are looking good. Still no cancer-free declaration, but they're giving us we're giving us a lot of good. But
cancer cells are low. They say cancer cells are low. So
but that's just another thing that you've had to overcome. And I can tell you that for me personally, that was a really scary moment. I can't imagine what you went through at the time and what you might be going through now. I don't know. Does it still cross your mind? Do you still think about it?
What it does, it comes to me, especially when I have to go and see my doctor for it, and I know, like the week before, I have to go get blood, and I'm just like, okay, just make sure that, just like, okay, just pray that cancer cells are still low and everything is good to go. So I still get nervous.
But I mean, it seems like
it's
it's kind of like a reserved optimism.
Yeah.
But it's for those of you who believe in the power of prayer, I'd say pray for Vanessa, that someday they'll be able to tell us that she's cancer free.
Yeah.
But all indications are good, but it's just another example of stuff that Vanessa has had to overcome and still be this awesome person. And
I try.
Somebody that I consider myself very lucky to call my wife, and I love you very much. I will be able to tell everybody. I'm hoping to interview, more people who have these awesome stories. To share these
awesome.
stories, and I won't be able to tell them that I love them, but I love you.
I love you too.
And
you could tell them they still, to keep on doing good.
Yeah. So that's, and I would tell you the same thing. That I think that you don't get a lot of pats on the back, and you don't get a lot of recognition, and I know you're not looking for it.
No, I'm not looking for it.
But you are the kind of people that I'm looking for to recognize that are doing these awesome and amazing things, despite the difficult circumstances that they come across. And so congratulations, thank you for all your hard work. And if I had like a prize to give you, I would give you a prize. But maybe we'll share your story and
I just wish I could do more, But
don't we all?
But I do what I can.
Hopefully this will be a good start.
Yeah.
People will be able to see this video and maybe nobody sees it, but maybe somebody sees it, and then they'll be able to take something that you shared with something you shared, and their life gets a little better.
Yeah, you don't have to save the world.
No, we're not necessarily trying to save. Well, I'm trying to save the world.
Well, I would love to save the world. Let's put it this way. I would love to save the world.
One step at a time.
Yes.
It's going to be baby steps, and this is one way to do it, which is why
help somebody.
One of the reasons why I call this I want to call this show This Way Out, because This Way Up. Thank you. This Way Up, because it sometimes it seems like we're drowning, or sometimes it seems like we're stuck in a hole. Sometimes it seems like you're stuck. You're stuck, and I'm hoping that this video and other videos like them will show people how to get out of those holes, up and out of those situations. At least that's my hope, and I think we're off to a good start. I think you've got an awesome story, babe. I love you.
I love you too.
I'm gonna share a kiss with you on the broadcast. I won't be able to smooch with anybody else.
I better not.
All right, so I'm Miguel, and this is Vanessa.
Hi.
This is episode 1 in the books.
Bye.
This Way Up. And if you liked it, as they say, click subscribe, comment, etc., etc.
Share the love.
Share the love. Yeah. Follow us. This Way Up.